Remember last time we did this and I just fucking crashed out of the whole thing, and then it was like I couldn't get back in, and Will was like, "Please, just George, end the stream."
The last 20 minutes.
Please, whatever you do, just click it off. End it.
End it now.
It'd be pretty dramatic if George somehow manages to crash out this time.
Imagine.
Oh.
Imagine.
Well, thank God for remote connection. I mean, if worse comes to worse, I can just go home and do it.
Yeah, I feel like you could just go home, yeah.
I'll just shoot it at home. I'll shoot
it myself. Let me just close the door. Will, don't look at my ass.
Is this been making the edit, yeah?
Is this going to make the edit? We are the edit.
We are the world. There is an edit.
Except now, as I keep joking to George off camera, you can now see us. I want to look at the webcam up there, but really, it's right there in front of me. But I don't.
Starting the episode without me.
Well,
you cheeky boy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pasty Sheep podcast. Today, I am with my guests, Connor and George.
Here from Pasty Will himself, Wasty 2.5 dimensional Will.
Wasty Pill.
No, Pasty Will.
Welcome to episode 281 of the Nerd Bible podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about Empire of Death and Church on Ruby Road. Flip those around because I got them mixed up.
It's also Legend of Ruby Sunday, isn't it?
And I swear you guys have even finished numbering your episodes.
Well,
George, did you just get too confused so you've given up?
Look, comic books is confusing. Life is confusing. Streams are confusing. This is like our new 52. This is the new 52. This is
Is it still your intro?
No. I was waiting for you to come back. Will took over, and we called him a waste.
No, I thought you called him Wasty Pill. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Is that like Dope 6 season 2?
Pasty Will.
Is Will actually Michael Keaton? He can't do a Michael Keaton impression.
He is.
No, I tried.
You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. Do you want to do it, or do you want me to do it?
Fuck it, lads. I've been here long enough. I can do it.
Go on, then.
Yeah, come on, Will. So, all right, we'll cut this bit out. But look, let the person who hasn't got a camera on introduce us. These two mysterious gentlemen on camera. Who are we? Who are we?
Just say it,
guys? No.
Feel it.
Stranger,
feel it.
Mr. 2.
Feel it here.
No,
Hello,
we're on camera now. We're on
That's
camera
what you do,
now.
like that.
We're on camera now. I can't necessarily feel it in that place. Mr. 2.5 dimensional man, who is afraid to show his face to the internet. Reveal us.
He is in witness protection.
Reveal us.
He did once kill a man.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 461 of the Nerd Bible podcast. Today, I am with my guests, all hosts, Connor, Esser, George White. George White is a family man, but he's made the time to be here with us today, so we must congratulate him. And Connor, thank you for coming here instead of the cinema. I am your host, Will Templar, and today we are going to be talking about Doctor Who, probably talking about Series 14 again, so if you've listened to the previous episodes, I'm so sorry because we're just going to retread ground. And we're going to be talking about the finale, Church on Ruby Road, and the Empire of Death. Take it away, boys.
That was pitch perfect. like Will said, everyone, this is us.
This is us.
This is the finale of Doctor Who, Series 14, Season 1, Season 39, or whatever it is to you olden people from the classics. Hello.
Season 1 to Disney Plus and all the international audience. Hello. Welcome.
This isn't an international.
Look, it's Disney Plus. That's worldwide, global appeal.
Why are we only talking about Doctor Who? Because it's the only thing that's on, and
nothing else matters. Let's be honest. Nothing else matters. No.
We are joined by our esteemed guest, our overlord of them all, our clinging to the TARDIS invisible dog himself, Mr. Will Templar. Thank you for that glowing intro.
That sounds extremely kinky. You're very welcome. Thank you for having me again.
It's been about... When's the last time we had you on? Wild Blue Yonder?
203 episodes ago.
Or Giggle? No, the Giggle.
We spoke about the Giggle, I think. Yeah.
It was the Giggle. It's also, at the time of recording this is the day before our 6th anniversary of doing this. Happy anniversary to us.
Well done, guys.
Yeah, damn straight.
Will's been here for about 4 years of them. He just pops in and out and just, says things. It's quite good.
A bit too much sometimes.
Yeah, only sometimes. As always, we've had Will on before, so who he hates in Doctor Who, and you know that he loves Doctor Who Series 6 because it is the best, low key.
It
And
is.
seven's quite good in his opinion.
I was better than season 14 after this week's episode.
Because we haven't really spoken to you in person, Will, since
No, never.
David Tennant was the Doctor.
We've never spoken in person, Will. You're still just a no.
How have you found season 1, series 14, the Shooty Gatwa era, everything since the Church on Ruby Road?
What's your thoughts?
Begin.
Take it away, good sir.
Generally, I've pretty much really enjoyed it. I think before the finale, which we're going to get to more in depth today, I feel like it was going really, really strong. Besides the first episode, Space Babies, I thought every episode it was getting better, with exceptions, because I think it would be unfair to say Boom was one of the weakest episodes of the series. It was absolutely not. But generally, my enjoyment of it was getting better and better. By Dot and Bubble, I was like, shit, this is a really good series. If it can just stick the landing, this could be the best series since maybe even Series 9. Not even Series 10, Series 9, or Series 6. One of the best series for a long, long time. And then it disappointed me at the end. However, I think we need more guest writers in the second series because it felt like a one-man's vision. And I feel like 2 of the strongest episodes were written by the guest writers. And considering what Russell T Davies has said in like Unleashed episodes, saying like he's looking at content creation, he wants people to be talking about it, gives me the impression that he's just doing, he's got a producer mindset right now, and he's not just like focusing on the creative writing. Because I think to the detriment to my enjoyment of the series, I was also watching Series 1 concurrently because I've been rewatching it with my girlfriend who's watching it for the first time. A lot of the Tennant, and she watched Eccleston for the first time, and she actually prefers Eccleston to Capaldi and Tennant now. So new 9 fan.
Well done.
Welcome. Thank you. She's got good taste. Maybe not in boyfriends, but maybe in Doctor Who.
Hey.
Yeah, but then you got such like a linear series in Series 1 where every episode is in some way connected. Even like one-off episodes like The Long Game, where you could interpret as it's just like a new companion in Adam Mitchell, just one story for him. It comes back in the finale with Satellite 5. My point is, everything actually flows, like character development and stuff like that. Whereas with this series, I don't think we've got that, especially with Ruby. She's just a mystery box, which I think a lot of people criticized about Clara in Series 7. So I feel like if you criticize Clara as a character, George White, I think it would be pretty hypocritical if you didn't apply the same logic to Ruby, who's pretty much exactly the same. And that's my thoughts.
It's very fair. So would you say Boom's your favorite episode so far this season?
It's tough. I think if it goes like strictly by statistics, it is my favorite. I gave it like a 9 out of 10. I think the second best was a 7.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to divulge?
And that would be Rogue. Yeah, I'll give you my rankings if I want, because I've never listed this on Twitter or online. I was going to make my own video, but I was like,
exclusive
as well. Yes. I would say Boom is a 9. Rogue is a 7. The Devil's Cord is a 6. 70. Dot and Bubble is also a 6. The Devil's Cord is I said Devil's Cord. What was everyone? 75 Yards is a 5. Legend. I'm not going to give my scores for the finale yet. And Space Babies is a 2. Have I missed any there?
No. Space Babies, Devil's Cord, Boom, 75 yards, 3 yards. Yeah.
Dot and Bubble and Rogue. Yeah. I think I've done them all.
Yeah.
And where would
you pass the test?
What would you have given Church on Ruby Road as well? Did you have that?
I gave that a 6. Yeah.
So like a mixed
But like I'm generally enjoying it, and like as each episode went along, I was like, I don't think I was becoming more impressed. I don't think I was impressed by the fact that I was enjoying it so much, because for the last 6 years I have been like hating the show, and I was like, Once Upon a Time, series 13, episode 2, episode 3. Halfway through that, I was like, I'm only watching this series now because I'm like such a devoted fan. Like if I was just a casual viewer, I would have clicked off such a long time ago. Whereas with this series, I'm actually watching it and I'm not even like worried about what the next problem is going to be. I'm actually just sitting back because the rating has taken a massive updive, because the average in the last few years probably like a 3, whereas if you worked out the average of what I've just said, it'd probably be like a 6. So it's much better in my opinion.
Onwards and upwards, surely.
Absolutely.
Right, Russell?
It says a lot that your favorite episodes are the ones not written by Russell.
I know. I just think, especially again, we need more guest writers, and I think that is the case. Thankfully, we're getting like 4 guest writers next year. But I hope it's not another case of Rogue where it's like 2 of the guest writers are just in one episode. So like it's only 3 guest episodes, something like that.
Like another joint one, yeah.
Yeah, if that's the case, like for example, what was the one with the Sea Devils? Legend of the Sea Devils. Ella Rhodes wrote that, but it was also with Chris Schimmel. She was the first guest writer since Village of the Angels. All we got really out of the last 2 years of Schimmel was Schimmel written stories, and the 2 guest writers was co-written with Chibnall. So it's not like we've had a lot of like guest input in the last 5 years. And I'm so sick to death of seeing like written by Russell T Davies and getting sick of written by Chris Chibnall on Doctor Who, because Doctor Who has never been that. It's always been very, very writer's room, creatively like in a group, not just like a one-man show, which it has become, unfortunately.
Yeah. I've enjoyed this series a lot, as people can tell by the reviews. Like you, it's been nice to sort of go into each week of Doctor Who and just enjoy it for what it is. Just watch it and drink it in, and just sort of like you say, like not worry about like what's coming next. Just sort of watch the episode,
be along for the ride,
enjoy it, move on, and it's
take
building
it
nicely. I think it's I don't know. Maybe I think either the episodes could have been a bit longer, or the 8 episodes has kind of been like
a detriment,
possibly, because obviously, like what Flux was 6, and that was one. Apparently, it was one. It was one complete story.
Complete.
Obviously, like I feel like series 11 and 12, at least with 10, you kind of had that. You had enough room to breathe in it, but it's like we had 2 Doctor light episodes
back to back,
and a Doctor Companion light episode. Well, technically 2 of them, because half of Boom, she's dead. So it's kind of a weird one. Like there's like I loved Boom. It was it was nice that Stephen Moffat's not completely out of ideas yet. Let's see what Christmas brings. The new voices with I forget who writes it with Kate. It's Kate Herron, and it's really
Google will have the answer.
You Google that.
Yeah.
But like you say, the guest writers like a new voice. More of those in season 2 will be nice, because I think you're right. Russell's along more with the producer mentality. He wants engagement. He wants content. He wants social media coverage. He wants it everywhere, because I think in his own words, he said he was brought back to bring in the under 30s audience, and with it being on Disney, he wants it to get the following up before it's like, right, and now we do this spin-off possibly, or we do this story thread, because he's going on a 2-year plan. So we'll see if that comes to fruition and what transitions if he stays beyond season 2.
Do you think potentially this year 2 plan, do you think it could retroactively affect season 1? Like looking back, if we were to jump ahead and do a future review of season 2 in a year's time and go, oh my God, we hated little things about season 1, and then the finale, and then we go ahead and go, oh, that was his plan all along.
I would say it could, but it's only going to affect the like Will said, like can it stick the landing, and the that will come. But like it was like maybe it didn't. That's the only thing that's kind of the downer for me, and I don't know if like the longer plan has got enough in it to retroactively make that wrap up of those storylines make sense while it's going to be wrapping up its own thing, whether that's Mrs. Flood or whatever the thing is next year. Fuck knows. But yeah, on the most part, like the same as you, I'd say like I enjoyed Rogue a lot more on a rewatch as well. Like I think that's kind of pushed it up a bit. So I'd say similar. It would be Boom, Rogue, Devil's Cord, and then the rest, yeah, Space Babies is the weakest because it's also weird
Isn't
that
it?
that was chosen for the first one because that felt like a filler. It felt like an episode 3 or 4, kind of like between two good ones, like how Revenge of the Cybermen is between like Genesis and Ark in space. Yeah.
Well, Genesis and Terror of the Zygons. There's Zygons season 13. Genesis is no. What the hell? Yeah, Genesis Revenge, and then Terror of the Zygons.
No, it's like it's Ark. Revenge,
Ark is after Robot.
it's
Robot, Ark's on Tyrant Experiment, Genesis.
I don't know.
Know your shit, Hoovians. Know your shit.
But no, enjoyed it for the most part. We'll get more generally into that. You'll go.
We keep teasing. All right.
You're the last one, so you can flow into the finale.
Oh, believe me, there's going to be a lot of flow, and I bring you the gift of death. Wink, wink. It's fine. People have seen it. I don't care if I spoil it already. Hello.
Yours turned into a Dalek.
Oh God, it's a Terry Nation contract.
I haven't said anything.
We just heard a weird beeping. It could have turned into a dial tone modem dial-up thing. He sounded really like not human. Me? No, he did. What do you mean? He did. Yeah. Right.
I'm using my psychic technology on you.
Well, okay. Look, boom, best episode. I would then go Devil's Cord second. Then I think maybe
Devil's Cord again.
The Cord of the Devil. No, I think I'm gonna go Dot and Bubble third, and then maybe Rogue fourth, just to be a little bit different. It's not drastically different in terms of scores. They're all relatively positive until certain ones we'll talk about in a bit. Wink, wink. But ironically, leading into this week's episode now, isn't it weird that bookending the season with least favorite episode, and then part 2 of this final story is arguably second weakest? I feel like everything in between has been a consistent joyride, week in, week out.
2 shit bits of bread, and then like the nicest fillings.
Right. It's a book that's had no proper binding or spine. The spine of the book is amazing, but like the front cover and the back of the cover of the book are fucking terrible. Review of the finale. No.
Will, can you still hear us? Oh, there it is.
I don't know what happened there.
Hello.
Yes.
The Wi-Fi's gone. Oh God.
There we go. We'll have to, because it's being split, this one. So, Legend of Ruby Sunday. Let's talk about the positives, because I really enjoyed the first part of the finale. What say you guys?
Was it legendary for you, Will? Did it live up to its title? Was it just it was all right, or were you completely on the edge of your seat, gripped, thrilled, on the edge of the roller coaster? Or...
You see, I actually was. I feel like it felt like a traditional first part of Russell T Davies' finale. There was a lot of setup. There was a massive cliffhanger at the end. And I don't know about you guys, but I went to the screening at the cinema. So I rewatched it. I did enjoy it more. I could appreciate more things on like the big screen, even like open quote, just the credits. Apparently, just the credits. I was like really wowed by how much more detail I could see. Then I've just been watching on my girlfriend's iPad for the last few weeks. So that's not really how you're supposed to consume media. Christopher Nolan would shoot my head off. But on the big screen, I appreciate that far way more. And I think the first part, you can really see the Disney budget, especially in the memory room, the time window, I think it is. I think I was not at all engaged with Ruby's story. They're all crying, and I couldn't give 2 fucks because I don't give a shit about the character because of I lack a character development. But especially on the big screen, you could just see the budget. I could just tell that some shots were so difficult to achieve. For example, when they like look up and then it flashes to white and the snow comes down, I thought that was a really like difficult shot to pull off. So fair play. And there were just moments like that where it did show promise, but otherwise it was just set up with like not as much as Russell T Davies' first era penultimate episodes, where there's like thrills and stuff like Last of the Time Lords, or even Utopia, if you want to class that as like the first part of the 3-parter. There is still so much mystery to happen. Like, who is Professor Yana, and what is Utopia, and are they going to get the rocket off? Or you've got you got Bad's Wolf, where we finally get like resolutions to the series arc. Like, now we know a little what Bad Wolf is. We've established that the characters know. Now they're going to go on to a hunt to find out what it is. In the second series, what was that? Army of Ghosts. We have so much to do with the ghosts with Torchwood. Like, the Torchwood arc pays off. Now we actually get to see it. Whereas with this episode, we don't really get to see anything. It just like continues the mysteries on into the finale, and we don't learn much at all. And it's just like, you're going to find out all the answers in the finale, so wait till then. So in that respect, it just feels like we've been baited by this first episode. And even the second episode, we'll move on to that one. But episode 2 was boring as fuck, because it was just like Russell T Davies like writing himself out of a corner, in my opinion.
Yeah, but it's not just the thing that annoyed. Jumping ahead to episode 2, again, we're going to cover that later in a bit, / next week, / in the next video, / 2 minutes for us. Yeah, it's a corner that Russell did back himself out of, and the team obviously have written a grand return in the form of, well, shall I say his name yet or not? Or are we saving that for part 2?
You say his name because he's in this.
Fine, not Omega Sutek. I mean, it was theorized the community were kind of right on that. I kind of similar to you, Will. I appreciated it a bit more on the big screen because
That was the first time you watched it as well.
Yeah, because when I booked the tickets with George, I had a thing called willpower, not living up to your name, I promise. That wasn't a pun, sneaky pun. I avoided the internet like a plague, and I didn't go into episode 7 knowing very, very much. The only thing that kind of gave it briefly away was that, like, an hour before we went to the screening, I just randomly flicked on Instagram and I just saw classic Pyramids of Mars, and I thought, well, that's a bit ironic if it's not Pyramids of Mars' like 45th anniversary or whatever. Like, there was no, why would that be on, the social media page? And it all made sense, didn't it? But it was very cool seeing it on the big screen. Both episodes were great on the big screen. Like, I did very much enjoy it, and I want to see it come back.
More Doctor
Russell,
Who on the cinema.
please do it, please. But yeah, episode 1, Legend of Ruby Sunday, Ruby Road, Church on Ruby Street. All the titles are mishmashing. I thought was a great little mystery. Just, I was proper on the edge of my seat, just really wanting to know.
Yeah, the way it builds to the cliffhanger, and then the cliffhanger was like, oh shit.
Or like, if the audience was noisy, it was a real like jaw dropping. For me, it was jaw dropping. Like, it really was like oh my god, I did not see that coming. So I ate it up.
But
the thing I think
the most
a lot of some people aren't comparing this to the Vinder situation in series 13, where we saw a lot of Vinder and people were like, oh my god, the pregnancy is going to be like the doctor, he's going to be the doctor's actual dad or something. But the thing is, the difference with that is that was given less significance in the actual show. We as fans just theorized that, whereas with the mystery in this series, it was so overtly, oh my god, Ruby's mother matters so much. So for the doctor to literally just pull the rug under the carpet under their feet at the end, our feet, that is, just feels like cheating.
Definitely a cheat, and no Konami code, cheat code. Yeah, it seemed like Russell was just trying to enter all the cheat codes in every video game ever, and he just kind of did the cheapest one and went, there you go, folks, have it, whether you like it or not. Gamers get mad at me. We're not appealing to gamers, but get mad at me. The cheapest idea, the cheapest resolution, arguably, to what was a really great setup. Like, in terms of Russell finales, it always seems to be the part 1s tend to be the better episodes. Like, the build-up is...
He's very good at blockbuster. He's very good at, the tension and event television.
The hype. Yeah, like, he's very great at that, especially this year around this time.
Like, Stolen Earth Journey's End is, like, the prime example of that. Is just, like, blockbuster television. That is the Avengers before the Avengers. It's the culmination of everything, and it's his last, actual series finale, so that you can forgive it for that. But, like, rewatchability is not necessarily something you associate with a lot of, or say, like, 50-50 in terms of, like, rewatchability, because, like, Parting of the Ways is one of the best finales ever. I do really like how he deals with the master and stuff like that. Apart from the the gratuitous, there's a hand picking up the ring. Ooh, mysteries. We'll do that on a
He really does
helipad.
that as well.
Literally. Army of Ghosts. It's more of the thing of like, it's come and see Rose leave. You won't know how. It's like death.
See it now.
This is the day, and this is the day I died, and this is kind of more along that of like, it's the best and worst of him kind of thing. It's kind of like he had the ending and then wrote backwards.
Fine.
Like, how do I do the loops to get to this? This is what I want it to be. That I like the stuff with like Ruby and her parentage in terms of like, yeah, it doesn't have to be important, like, because he talks about Star Wars and stuff. Like, you can get to all that. It's just, why has it come through like 8 weeks or 7 weeks, because we had a double bill at the start, like
That is
7 weeks of mystery.
But really big mystery. Yeah. Ruby's mother is got like somehow cosmic godly. The snow. Why did it snow as such? Is it just from the CCTV
Is it still snowing?
room? Yeah, right. Are we living a lie? Like, is the weather outside not? It's got anything to do, Doctor Who? Is that? Are we really looking at the sun instead of the snow instead of the sun? Like, yeah. The snow aside, and a couple other things we can nitpick when we get into the proper meat later on. Amazing build up.
Kate Stewart was useful.
Yeah, and so was Mel. Bloody Mel and her carrot juice. We didn't see the carrot juice, but
she should have been in the credits for the second part, I think, because she's basically like pseudo second companion, like when Freema would come back, or like in Journey's End when they'd all come back and then they'd all be in it.
George, they've only just found some consistency with the theme tune. Don't make them redo it again. They had to redo it like 10 times.
True, but it's only right in fucking Bonnie Langford. It's not that hard. Oh. Even though the whole
they fucked up the logo about 6 times.
I don't know. It looks okay now. We'll see what they do. If they fuck it up again at Christmas and beyond. Unit was useful for me. That was a thing of like, it's maybe the most I've liked Kate Stewart since we've seen her in 2012, wasn't it? That's when she first
Power of Free.
Yeah,
Power of Free.
It's the best I think her character's been utilized. I didn't like how that that thing starts, because as soon as I think that should have been the cliffhanger, the dust death. I feel like that should have been the cliffhanger for episode 1. Because then it would have been a thing of, oh, maybe they are all dead. But then it's like, well, no, obviously, if you're going to kill off everyone in the first 5 minutes of episode 2, it's like,
we've got to resolve this somehow. Yeah.
It's like, oh, well, that's not going to get reversed.
Yeah.
I love Shooty and Millie in terms of like, they are really good performers. They have such amazing chemistry. I just don't know who Ruby is
as an individual.
Yeah.
Aside from the plot mystery. That was meant to be something more. Yeah.
I feel like we could have... I don't know. I feel like we needed to spend more time with her. We needed her Beast Below, where we get all of Amy's morals and we know that, that's why the Doctor needs her. I don't think we've had that standout moment of like, Millie Gibson's been a great performer. 73 yards, like, to carry that on her own and that be her first episode she shot of this show is amazing.
Real props
for someone that young. But it's like, but still, like, who is Ruby? And she sort of becomes like a version of Clara when Stephen Moffat writes her. But that's just a thing. Like, after a while, all the women characters kind of just merge into sort of one big puddle if you fucking look long enough. Which is the only negative I have of that episode. It's just like, oh, she's very sort of just like the plot device this week. But no, and then it was that whole thing of like the grandiose thing of like your lineage and why is this important? And then it's like, the way that kind of resolves itself. I mean, what I feel like we're just going to talk about. We can't really talk about one episode without the other, so it's kind of just like a whole thing. Sutek as a villain, was it pointless? William.
I think it's fantastic bait to get the classic audience back in, because I think with Neil Patrick Harris as the toy maker, fucking Beep the Meep, you get the comic audience in. not going to be a lot of the comic audience, of course, but it's just a great hook to get people, older fans especially, back in. I do think after rewatching Pyramids of Mars just before this finale, that it definitely left the door open for a return, because Sutek is still in the time vortex orbit. He's still alive. He's just trapped. So what if he becomes untrapped? So, you know, sorry, I have been talking. I don't know if it's going to get picked up on the recording.
Yeah, it's just briefly summarize that again. I don't know what the fuck's going on. It's been final week. Maybe if I stop the camera. There you go.
No, your beautiful faces. Oh, okay, that's even better. I'm sorry, George. Okay, so I'm just saying, there was room for a return in Pyramids of Mars. He wasn't dead; he was just trapped. And if the Beast, for example, in the Series 2 episode, he was escaping. So there's a reason for him to come back. I think it's great for the classic audience to come back. So it's a good hook for them. I know a lot of people criticize the ending, but I actually quite like the ending that they've gave Sutek in this one, because in Pyramids of Mars, it literally has Sutek escaping, and then the Doctor says, "No, you're going back into the time vortex," and that's the resolution by just clicking some buttons to reverse him escaping. So that was a bit of a naff ending. Whereas in this one, you have the Doctor taking him into the time vortex, reversing all the death and destruction he's done. And then what I don't understand is how he then dies, because he was sent into the time vortex. Then later he clung on to the TARDIS, but we see Sutek instantly die when he was unattached to the TARDIS in the time vortex. So why didn't he just die before he clung onto the TARDIS in Pyramids of Mars? That's lets it down a little bit, but having Sutek have a bit more of a conclusion in this episode, I actually thought worked, even though people were just taking the piss and he was taken for walkies, and that was how he was defeated. It was like, bro, watch Pyramids of Mars. That's not much better.
True. The ending to that classic is arguably one of the weakest scenes of that whole story, and it's the resolution. The story was great beforehand, and then you get to the end of that MacGuffin, and you're like, oh, even by 1970 standards, you're like, oh, is that kind of it? Yeah,
absolutely.
Literally, though, to go with what you're saying about Sutek sort of clinging on to basically the plot synopsis is, the reason why I survived the Pyramids of Mars, Doctor, is because I was stranded in space. For how long? No one can write the amount of time, because I've been on the TARDIS supposedly the whole time since Pyramids of Mars, because it doesn't really determine a point of entry for Sutek to sort of latch onto existence, although the Doctor makes a point earlier in the story about the TARDIS has made a noise before, and that noise, again, as George pointed out to me, was during Wild Blue Yonder. So you would assume that would be the logical point, really, for Sutek or some godly beings to come through, to pull through.
Because of flux and all that, maybe that's why
it's breaking through. But that would have made more sense, because the episode literally just sort of implies that Sutek has literally clung onto the TARDIS, assumedly for every single adventure in existence. It doesn't really specify a length. Sutek has basically seen every incarnation of the Doctor post on Baker, ironically, and he's been there the whole time. The TARDIS has been, combusted, Big Banged, Pandorica'd, all the Big Finish stories in between. You're telling me that Sutek not once would have got spotted, detected, his cloak went away, someone didn't throw a bone at the TARDIS, and him as a god dog didn't react to it. Sutek at all didn't get detected, not once. I just find that for a sci-fi show about a guy in a box running away from his planet and everything, that is just abysmal. Like, how can that be Russell's idea of, let's bring back one of the best classical villains to appeal to our OG audience, ironically, and yet just use that as, he's been there all along, but we just weren't clever enough to write him in between, or at least explain.
Russell said that he had the idea since he was a kid, and I think it's come onto paper and onto screen resultantly as that idea that he first had when he was watching the story in the 70s, and it doesn't take into account everything that's come afterwards. Because if you think about the Big Bang, you mentioned it, Amy summons the TARDIS out of pure memory. she reinvented the TARDIS in this rebooted universe out of her memory. So did she remember Sutek? That's the best tweet I've seen about it, because a lot of people have been saying, "Oh, when the 10th Doctor regenerates, surely he's set on fire." And I think no. When the TARDIS didn't exist, Amy thought about it, brought it back to life, and Sutek was there. Like what? But I just think it's a case of Russell T Davies sticking with an idea that he's had for like 50 years, unwavering on it.
Yeah. But it literally is like we just said. It is literally like the idea that he's had in his head as a child, and he hasn't exactly like let that idea mature in his adult mind. He hasn't exactly utilized the team to come up with more of a logical explanation. I know it sounds a bit petty because it is a sci-fi show that we're talking about after all, but it just sounds so weak and wooden from the fact that I've been there all along, and everything that's happened in between, whether it is meant to be quite literally since his demise or multiple reboots and TARDISes later, or whatever the case, just Sutek just wasn't there the whole time. Is he better like in the Invisible Man, the Invisible God Man that's just been there the whole time? It's just,
was there 3 Suteks in Time of the Doctor, in Day of the Doctor? Sorry, when they're all in the museum.
Right, exactly. Yeah, is Sutek cloned? Is this going to be like the multiverse of Suteks? Is that going to be the 60th? Oh no, sorry, the 70th anniversary. Is it going to be the demises of Suteks, the Empire of Suteks? Is that kind of jokes aside? It's just I find that was for me the big, or one of the, basically the big no-no. I thought, okay, fine. You bait us so hard. Everyone is not going to complain about this at all. But then when it just comes to how did you survive this ironic ending, and why haven't you been seen since? All right, Big Finish audios contradict this. I mean, Big Finish is a touchy subject as it is for many of the fans anyway. But I've been there the whole time, Doctor, and you've been too dumb to see me. Just I don't. No, thank you, Russell. No.
I think we've had enough of Sutek now. Sutek shouldn't come back because in Pyramids of Mars, he doesn't do much except from deliver fantastic one-liners. But in terms of actual action, he's doing nothing. He's being confined. In Empire of Death, what does he do? He literally just kills everyone and then just still lounges on the TARDIS. He reveals himself, but he still opts to just chill by the TARDIS. He doesn't actually go and see his destruction and the worlds now that he's been there and done his deeds. So I think the character as is done for. I'm glad he's dead. Just let it be gone for good. Bring back the Trickster. If you're going to do the Pantheon of Gods, do the Trickster. You got so many stories you could do with him. The Sarah Jane Adventures did 6 stories with him, and every single time it was completely different and mesmerizing. I'm sure Russell can think of something because he didn't. Did he write much for the Trickster? I think it was Gareth. I won't say his whole name, but Gareth wrote most of the Trickster episodes, not Russell. Get Russell in. I'm sure Russell could give him a very good story. He did a lot of the co-writing credits, and he did a lot of the script rewrites. So we'll give Phil Ford the credit for those episodes.
Yeah, Phil Ford done it all. I'm surprised that the Trickster wasn't included in some, because he kind of plays up to some of the theories, is Susan Triad Susan? Is the anagram TARDIS? Is it TARDIS technology? And then it's no, it's this one that everyone sort of guessed as well, which I was fine with because, for a cliffhanger, it's
a little teaser. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go for it, man.
I saw a little thing. If I can just jump in, there's a little thing that's saying episode 2 of the next series, season 2, episode 2, will have another of the Pantheons. So apparently something is coming. So that's a little spoiler / teaser, whatever you want to call it.
But any viewers listening to the future, you're probably laughing at us because you already know who it is. Or we will at some point as well, so we can laugh at you back. So don't you dare laugh at us, people, in the future.
Hopefully
we can travel there at one point. But all right, theories. Who is it going to be?
He is the Trickster. Is the one that lends himself to as really good as he is in Sarah Jane. It's he would terrify in the main show. He could also do some horrific shit in a version of Torchwood or the adult version of the show as well. He's kind of just everywhere, and he's such a good big bad, but he's been fooled by 15, 14-year-olds for 4 series.
Damn.
They're filming on the pier where Sarah Jane disappeared, and the whole whatever happened to Sarah Jane stuff. So it seems to lend itself to that. The whole Hood stuff with her mum, it was is it the recycled idea from Sky was meant to be the trickster's child to trick Sarah Jane? Is Russell recycling ideas he never got to do with Sarah Jane Adventures for Doctor Who? While it would have been a bit like, obvious and a bit sort of like, oh, it's an easy explanation, it would have been interesting to kind of see that dynamic, because it plays also into the whole thing he wanted to do with series 1, where like Rose was, made to be like the perfect companion through the Doctor. Like he, orchestrated and changed her to make her the perfect companion, and we never saw that version because Boomtown came out. I'd like to see more of the Pantheon, because now we've obviously seen, Toymaker, Maestro, the Mara getting a shout out was
Bloody
quite
Mara,
cool.
the snake god. Yeah,
Bring them back.
bring back the snake.
I like this sort of, the theory that maybe the threefold deity of mischief, malice, and mayhem is the 3 most recent incarnations of the Master. We could how far could this go? Is it like Doctor Who versus the gods? Like, does it, but yeah, like you say, like he's there, he kills everyone, and then he's very sort of Thanos in terms of kill everything, and then it gets reversed because of
chill.
happenstance, and how does he die in the same place that he managed to cling onto the TARDIS? But sure, maybe he doesn't die, and that's setting him up to come back and make Gabrielle Wolf do this again in another 46 years or whenever it was.
But this time he'll be trapped in the pits of hell, and he will be the Beast. Because back to episode 1, when they were name dropping, when the red dust appeared and it was all red glowy shit, I thought, bloody hell, I didn't think Sutek. I genuinely thought when he said he was the Beast and the soldier was trapped in hell, I was like, oh, Gabriel Wolf is doing the Beast. I thought that would have been great, but it wasn't meant to be.
The thing with that in 2006 was they could arguably be the same character, because they're both similar things.
I see,
it's a different version of the devil, essentially. A god being of death and destruction and that kind of thing. So there isn't a contradiction to the fact that they could essentially be
the same entity,
or different versions of the same being, sort of thing, possibly.
Yeah.
Or maybe that was Sutek trying to escape another way. We don't know.
Yeah.
And then he was like, no, fuck it, I'm going to cling onto the TARDIS like I have been doing
the whole time. Oh, yeah. Yes, that's painful to keep saying out loud, but yeah.
Lenny Rush. Why?
Why did he rush?
Why?
Good question.
Why is he? Why is I love Lenny Rush.
When is Lenny Rush?
What is Lenny very Rush? Good at what he does. Maurice Gibbon was
a character. He was a character.
I assume he's there just because the fact of Ruth Madeley had a prior commitment, so couldn't reprise her role as Shirley Bingham in this episode, but will be back next series. Yeah, it was just kind of I didn't get his character. It was kind of just are we just having a sort of funny, quirky, different scientific advisor like Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, just it's a cursed position.
Yeah, Defense Against the Scientific Advisor, yeah. Yeah. Or do you think Shirley Ann Bingham's character next season will get addressed into something more grand? It will just be, I was abroad, I see my family.
Apparently, the character was in Geneva.
Oh.
But
doing what? Who knows?
Drugs. I don't know.
Wow. Okay. Drugs.
Just because I think Ruth Madeley was really good in Star Beast and the Giggle, and it was just oh, she's not here. But
she was noticeable that she wasn't there, and that could have been a question whether Russell writes that into a somewhat of a plot point, or she was in Geneva because of such and such. We'll just have to wait and see. Time will tell. The only person that knows is probably Shooty and Russell, obviously. But
I don't even think Russell knows. I think he's just going to guess again. Well, because he says in the Unleashed episodes of I want a rotating cast, and then the desks all get filled up. What was Rose doing there, Will? What was Yasmin Finney was fucking wasted in this. A couple of lines mentioned, Donna not by name.
Yeah,
gets a passing mention of the 14th Doctor. How's your uncle? Yeah, he's good. That's it. Doesn't. I don't think she speaks until the end of Empire of Death, and that's about it.
No, not good. Not good. Disgusting.
What did you think of that, Will? Are you there, boy?
Oh no,
we've killed him.
I have not heard anything for the last minute. I literally came back in as you asked me a question.
Brilliant. Okay.
What did you make of Rose's use in this episode?
Well, she was fucking dire, wasn't she? She didn't do fuck all. Literally was in the episode to hug the doctor and then play Minecraft when Sutek was killing everyone. She was when they were all shooting at Sutek. She was just on her fucking iPad, and that was it. She had no lines. It's like a nothing character, and then that was why I was really like outstanding when I watched the Unleashed episode, where she was like, oh, "I'm so glad to be back." Rose really comes into her own in this episode, and I just thought, doing fucking what? She didn't do anything. I don't know why she was there.
I mean,
Maybe
she
to
mentioned her
explain
mum.
why the 14th Doctor wasn't there.
But she didn't even get to do that.
No. No. They're at the seaside. They didn't have time to explain it. Yeah, as I say, she mentioned her mum, not by name. He said Uncle's doing well. But literally, other than that, the only thing she's been doing is cat burglaries in Chattenham or somewhere. Like that's all she's done at unit. Haha, meant to be hilarious. That's all she said. Big contribution there, Yasmin Finney. Congratulations.
It's a shame for her because I think
she was
She got
great.
the bag.
Yeah.
And what did you say?
She got the bag.
Hello?
She got the money and ran.
Oh, she got the bag. We just like shouted slag at us. Or, like,
No, what you said, like, you're back. I thought we had another cut.
It's really because I really
No,
like
it's
the
not
first
nice.
one, but the second. Do you know when I was in Will? I was in it right up until the Doctor screaming at the void of space as the universe is turned to dust. Up until that point, I didn't really have any complaints.
Yeah.
It just felt a little melodramatic because I was watching it in the cinema, of course, and it just felt like if I was there watching a film, you wouldn't get like the protagonist screaming like that until later in the film, like when you actually feel the stakes. Whereas there you have the universe destroyed, and I'm just there thinking, I don't really feel like the universe has been destroyed because for the last 15 minutes you've just been in the memory TARDIS talking and like making gags about cultural appropriation. Like it doesn't feel like the Earth and the universe is at stake because you're making pop shots to the Fourth Doctor era. So when the Doctor starts crying, I just think, bro, I feel nothing to what's going on, and that's my ultimate like takeaway from the cinema experience is yes, I really enjoyed the first part in comparison because I could just appreciate how well made it is and how tight the editing is and stuff like that. I can appreciate that. Whereas in the part two, it just feels very exposition-y. It feels very, we're not, especially in that middle part where you kind of zoned out of the episodes. We don't like jump many locations. It literally, when we go onto that desolated planet with the woman with the memory issues, with the spoon, the hunt for the spoon, when that scene finally came around, I was like, at last we have something to look at. And it's like some people have mentioned it's like the slowest scene of the entire series. It's like the longest we've spent in like with just two characters for the whole series. And that's incredible. Like only a minute and a half, and that's like the longest piece in the series. So that was a good moment. But then ultimately, all of that was just for like a part of metal. So it just felt inconsequential. The stakes didn't feel like they were being met. And as a result, it just fell flat for the audience with me. Like when at the end, when all the explanations were being given out, I heard so many tuts and laughs and stuff like that. No one was taking it seriously. No one was fucking crying when Chewie was crying. No one felt it. And that was really disappointing.
Yeah, well, I want to say like our audience, I don't feel like was the most reactive either, but we weren't like, not that we could hear or I was trying to listen to other people because I was so engrossed in what was going on, but at the same time, as soon as episode 2 was on, I just felt like my eyebrow was getting raised higher and higher. I just kind of thought, right, the all level, like everything.
Pants were getting tighter.
Yeah, pants are getting tighter. The level of logic is failing. All else, my spine is going to combust, and I just felt like, whoa. I feel like we're on a wonky ride in the TARDIS, and this ain't a fun one. It all went to tits. it was hired from the very brief memory TARDIS scene, and like, oh look, there's Mel and Colin's scarf, oh, and there's Mel and Seven's question mark jumper. Like, all that is great callbacks to the classic show. But again, aside, like George mentioned about Kate being useful, I've never seen so much love for bloody Mel. I mean, I keep joking about her characters, but aside from Shara Time Lord and that scene, like, what else does she really contribute to? Big Finish aside, like, Mel's just Mel, and yet this series, this finale, this story, this arc has never seen Mel in such a positive light, but really she did absolutely F all in the classic show. It's baffling, and I'm not saying that if other companions were alive, like Bonnie Langford would never have got this redemption eventually, or this sort of reappraisal of the character, but just Melanie Bush really on such a pedestal. Not trying to knock her, but I don't quite get it really. But I kind of like briefly what they did with aspects of the character, and I was caring about her dying and giving into suit tech and becoming evil, and I was caring. But ultimately, in the wrap up to everything, it didn't really matter because she was fine, and she's probably going to like make more Carrot Juice movies. Like, it don't matter. But whilst we were in it, I did care more about Mel than I thought I did. But at the same time, why is this episode put Mel and Kate Stewart like on such a pedestal? It's just weird this time around. I feel it feels different this time.
I think it's because she got reintroduced into the modern era of the show with such an anti-climax compared to someone like Sarah Jane. Sarah Jane had like an entire story around her, whereas I feel like any classic Who companion that comes back now, you can just say, oh, they were in that 10-second cameo in Power of the Doctor, and they haven't really been given much of an oomph on their return. So the fact that we haven't seen much of Mel, but in this two-parter we get to see more of her, I think she's a really good actress, but the content she's been given is like the equivalent of Kate Stewart in series 13. I'm not going to lie. So when we actually did get the moment where she gets possessed by Sutek, I was actually like, oh shit, this is interesting, because for the last 20 minutes, she's just been asleep in the memory TARDIS. Like, she actually gets to do something now. So that was when I became invested, and I was like, okay, now she's actually getting more to her character by getting possessed as a character. So maybe we'll see how that affects her relationship with the Doctor, and I guess we do see a bit of that. And I think she said in the commentary that she's actually proud of being in the show right now, because she was never proud of the Seventh Doctor era that she was in. So in that respect, regardless of what I think about the character, I'm just glad that the actress now can like be happy and content with her role. Yeah.
She, like the character, is sort of feeling a sense of reappraisal. It is kind of like a whole new experience for her. A wild blue yonder, pun intended. And at least Melanie Bush is getting, or Bonnie Langford is at least getting something out of this finale, because I just, I don't know. We all, the community, we've all just kind of feel ripped and tugged at our heartstrings, and not even going into Ruby's mother and that whole reveal. I mean, I don't not dislike the idea of her being an ordinary person, because I like the message behind it, and like the whole Doctor conversation about how we as people can perceive something as important. And all right, fair enough. I find it ironic that that's how you defeat a fucking god. Like, basically, if we sit here, think about our parents, or think about our loved cherished ones, if we were ever in such a threat, think about the person you love. Oh, they can conquer everything. Yeah, all right, fine. But I like the message behind it. I don't dislike the fact that Ruby's mum was ordinary, or wasn't Susan, or wasn't anything cosmic aside from the snow, because that just didn't make no fucking sense to me. The ideas are like okay on paper, but everything was just poorly executed, and that's where I just feel like all of this backlash is coming from. Like, we're in two minds, but really, 80% of the mind is more dominant, and the 20% in some parallel timeline might eat up what Russell was cooking. But we all as a community just feel underwhelmed by the way it unfolded. It's not necessarily what happens or what didn't happen. I just feel like it just was handled awfully, as far as finales goes, especially, like, just particularly awful. But yeah, I don't know if you want to care to comment.
It just made me feel really flat, the way it was just sort of like all the joy kind of just left. And like, I get the thing with like the Doctor crying and that, the impactful moment, but like, again, like, we haven't spent a lot of time with this Doctor, so like, I like that Russell's trying to portray him as,
vulnerable.
You know, vulnerable, emotional. Like, you know, you're able to talk about your emotions and feel your emotions. You know, but we haven't got to that bit yet because we also had 2 episodes where he wasn't there. Like as much as you know, we don't know Ruby as a character. We haven't fully got the 15th Doctor. We're more sort of like forgiven of that just because his mannerisms and his eccentricity and just the way Shooty's acting can carry us through that anyway. So it's kind of like the moments we have with him, we're cherishing it because it's like, oh, we're watching a great actor sort of like come into his
Elevate
own and
all
sort
material.
of discover the part kind of thing. But we still haven't had
that one
apart from, you know, obviously, you know, the obvious is, you know, the dot and bubble moment. That's, you know, feeling like useless in terms of like he just wants to help Lindy and she won't accept his help just purely by the color of his skin kind of thing. But it's like, you know, but then in the end it does work in a sense of like it's meant to have built up, but we've obviously only then spent 8 episodes with him and 2 of them he wasn't fully there, which is the only great shame. And I hope that we get more of him. Like the Christmas special, I'm looking forward to him being like the guy settled in, and then like the companion that's going to be joining us for the special and that, and seeing how that carries him into the next one. It was all just a bit rushed. I'm happy with how, you know, Ruby's mum can be anyone.
Yeah. Well,
but why the fuck was it? It was made so important because of him wanting the social media engagement. It wasn't down to you know, anything story based. It was, I want the views and I want the
reactions,
retweets, and I want the reactions. Yeah.
Like whether it's good biz or bad biz, you know, reactions are reactions, and it makes good showbiz and talking points, and that's how the world seems to revolve around when it comes to media. And you go, that seemed to be Russell's priority, or at least the team's priority when it came to this season and the ultimate arc of the season. It was all here right now. How did you feel about this? And of course, people aren't going to be happy when you hear like, oh, I wasn't a big fan of the finale. But the fact that everybody, for the most part, everyone is saying the same message, hopefully will hit a bell in their noggin and make us think, all right, let's not do that second time around. Let's actually let's have some payoff to whatever we're going to cook next time around. It's just frustratingly, because as I say, each review we've done, each episode, I've sort of gone into it on a momentous high. I thought it would have peaked perhaps it did peak by Boom, and then expecting episode 4 or 5 to kind of dip and drop. I don't feel like it dropped until episode 8. It really just took my breath away, but not like Top Gun did or Berlin sang. Just it was terrible and really like what crime has been conducted here. It felt more painful than the death of the Doctor.
The problem is we like our feedback about this will have no like means on series 2 because that's already been filmed. So you saying the audience reaction to this could change it. It could change it for series 3, but even that's half written according to Russell. So how much of this is actually going to be important down the line? God knows. Because series 2, I assume Mrs. Flood is going to be like explained and done in series 2. I doubt he's going to carry that on into series 3, especially if this 2-series plan, everything in these first 2 series are wrapped up next series. But you never know. It could be like a Stephen Moffat type thing in series 5 with the cracks in time that never really get explained till Matt Smith's final episodes. If Russell wants to do that, then all power to him. But that's one of the most criticized elements. It's like wrapping it up at the final moment, even though you don't really have to.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because we're over by that point. Who cares about Mrs. Flood by series 3 in like 4 years' time? Who gives a shit?
Oh, absolutely not. No, absolutely not. She was a fun fourth wall breaking character at Christmas, and the way she sort of said, tell the tale of the Doctor's life, it ends in tragedy. Night night. It felt like a slight fu. It felt like thank you for sitting there, thank you for enjoying, but also sod you a little bit. I don't know. That's how I took it anyway.
Yeah, there's a bit of that. Yeah.
Night night. Night night.
You could have put Russell at the end, like giving all of the audience the finger, and it would have had probably the same effect.
Yeah, for sure. Will, are you there?
I'm still here.
He died from the boredom.
Yeah, it's the talk of Russell.
I'm
It's
waiting for
fine.
a
We can all
prompt. I'm waiting for something to be said.
So
No.
I got some questions from Mike. Do you want to answer them,
Oh,
or
of
do you want to
course.
just ignore them?
ignore them.
course.
Yes.
Yeah, let's
Um,
ignore Michael. Who gives a shit about Michael? I love you, Michael.
Yeah.
Wh- wh-
Michael.
Were you seriously not sucked in and impressed with the build-up of this season? Leaving out the resolution of the finale, like all the rest of it. Did it draw you in? Did it do its job?
I honestly couldn't give much of a shit. Literally, the equivalent of the arc and the build-up for me was literally the Doctor pointing at Ruby and saying, "This is a big mystery. You're connected. We have to find out about this," and that's the mystery. And because I've been rewatching series 1, and it's much more linear, it's just so much better written, and we get way more invested in the characters than we do with Ruby. Because again, we have 2 technically companion-like episodes with Boom, because she's dead in half of it, like Connor said, which I didn't even really think about. So we really got 2 companion-like episodes as well in 8. In Rogue, she's completely sidelined as well. In Space Babies, you just have the Doctor fucking saying Space Babies. Who gives a shit about Ruby? It's literally just like a plot device so the new audience know what the show is. Episode 3, she's dead. Devil's Called. Who gives a shit? It's just music and stuff like that. Again, Rogue, who cares? 73 yards. I think one of you mentioned it was just like a plot device for the plot. She's not really given much like character moments in that episode. She's just there to be an observer. And then at the end of 73 yards, I guess she saves the day. But can I just speak about 73 yards as well? I got so confused in the football stadium by the end, because I was like, she's walking backwards to make the thing teleport 73 yards in front of her. A football pitch has 2 sides. One just stops the woman teleporting behind her. I don't know. Maybe that's just me nitpicking, but I was like, she is really counting on the ghost going to the front. Why not go to the back? Anyway, so my point is, you don't really have much of Ruby doing like mysterious things. You don't like get drawn into her as a character besides her chemistry with Shooty, which is, as you said, George, phenomenal. But again, it's just a case of her sucking up to the Doctor. You never really have like the intimate moments of like the Doctor doing something wrong. In Dot and Bubble, when the Doctor's in tears, what's Ruby there for? She's just there overseeing it. She doesn't console the Doctor. There's none of that sense. So I couldn't care about Ruby as a character. That's why I felt so numb to it. In like the time window scene. Honestly, couldn't give a shit about who the mother was and stuff like that. I was intrigued. I was mostly intrigued about like the fan theories on Twitter, like people saying, "Oh, it's gonna be River Song, it's gonna be the Trickster," stuff like that. That made me more interested in what we actually got in the show, because the extent of it was the Doctor pulling Ruby aside and saying, "It's snowing. This is a mystery." That's not good. That is not good at all. And Russell needs to improve on the arcs, because it's nothing like Series 1, Series 2, or fuck it, even Series 4 with the Rose Tyler appearances. There's nothing to draw me in.
Next season, without spoiling or pre-jinxing Russell's writing, because we kind of got a flavour of it this time around. Instead of snow, it's going to be sunlight, and the arc's going to be, why is it so sunny? Especially if it's filmed in Britain. Why is it so goddamn sunny? The sun's a lie. Or instead of rain, it's hailstones.
I mean, in the long game, the Doctor makes a big point of why is the space station so hot? Make that the fucking arc for the entire series. The temperature. Or the fucking bees disappearing. We have stupid stuff like that. So let's do the fucking wasp disappearing instead. Same thing in it. I don't know, the fucking cows disappearing. Why not?
Eggs. Chickens aren't giving birth to eggs. They're giving birth to something else. Where are all the eggs gone?
Yeah, it's just some shit like that. Russell is notorious for it, but I had more investment. I'm currently rewatching Series 4. I have more investment in the bees disappearing than I do with Ruby in this series. I just felt so numb to it. That's why when I rewatch this series, I'm only going to rewatch like standalone episodes, because I was speaking to my girlfriend's flatmate, and she was just like, she also watches the series, and she was just like, I enjoy it for the individual episodes. I like it for Boom. I like it for 73 Yards. I like it for Rogue. Those 3 episodes you can just watch, and even a Dot and Bubble, because it's like companion Doctor Light, so you don't really get an arc. Those 4 episodes are very, very standalone watchable. Whereas if you get into like Space Babies, Devil's Chord, and the 2-part finale, then you are looking at the arc, and I think those generally are the weakest episodes of the series. The 4 in between are the stronger ones, and that's where you don't really get a sense of the arc at all. Perhaps that's to the detriment of the series. Perhaps we needed more of the arc, like mentioned and like intertwined with the story. Because if it was literally just like the Space Babies, where the Doctor just says, "This is a mystery, you're involved," and shit like that. If we had okay, I sound like a broken record, but the Pandorica opens the Big Bang, when the Doctor's in the TARDIS and says, "Oh, I brought you along with me because I was vain, I wanted to be adored," and stuff like that, and because your house had too many rooms. If we had the Doctor in 11th Hour say, "This house, there's something wrong," and then has kept saying it in every single episode, I would be fed up. And it's the equivalent of this with the snow and shit like that. It's just not enough of a hook. And I'm going to shut up now.
No, by all means, don't shut up.
Are you a big fan of Pyramids of Mars? Says Mike.
Me personally, yes, I am. I gave it a 4 out of 5 rating on Letterboxd. You can go follow me, Will Templar on Letterboxd, please do. I think a lot of that, the strength to that story is the dialogue and the performances of Tom Baker and Elizabeth Sladen. I think they're just both superb. And Sutek gets some excellent lines, and the sense of actual fear of Sutek escaping is very prevalent, and like he needs to be stopped, even though he was stopped in like a really shit way. Especially in like part 3, you really get that sense that they have to do something. And in that respect, yeah, it's great. It was just like moments where, again, the end, and also I feel like there are one too many characters in part 1. Like you have like 3 old men and 2 of them like die in part 1, and I was like, what was the need of those characters in the first place? Because part 1 really confused me. But part 2, part 3, excellent showcase of tension and just like stellar performances. I love Pyramids of Mars. What about you guys? I don't think you've mentioned it.
I do like it's kind of like a lot of people's go-to for your archetypal. If you're going to watch a classic story,
horror themed,
like which one do you go for? You go for Thor and Liz, and you just like it's like you say them 2 together. They're obviously the best on screen. They are the goals of a Doctor companion relationship in reality. That's what everyone aspires to be like. The most well-known Doctor and companion duo. It is all in the dialogue. It's less in the action. But it's so menacing because like Sutek has that much power over the Doctor, and like how they have to, they know that they have to stop him because of how dangerous he can be for the universe, which is like fine on its own. But now it's like there's now another story with him. So it's like, does this episode make Pyramids of Mars retroactively kind of worse, or do you appreciate Pyramids of Mars better because of how it handled Sutek and the story kind of thing? I don't know.
I suppose that is a question. Yeah. That is a question. Pyramids of Mars to me was a classic that I watched rather late in like the Doctor. Well, I mean,
personally, I prefer this.
You prefer this story to Pyramids of Mars?
Well, no. So I would definitely get Pyramids of Mars like a higher rating. By God, when you asked me for my score, it's probably going to be like really low compared to you guys. Whereas Pyramids of Mars is like almost perfect. But in terms of like was handled, treated, is like Russell doing his best Pyramids of Mars impression, whoever wrote that episode. Whereas I do think this episode, conversely to everyone else, I'm going against convention here. I think the wrap up of Sutek is not far better, but a bit better than Pyramids of Mars. So I think it handled the demise of Sutek, and the fact that the Sutek is dead without like question now. I'm really thankful because I don't want to see this character again. However, in terms of the actual story, I was never bored during Pyramids of Mars, even though it was like 2 times or 3 times as long. So,
Yeah. Aside from the Pyramids of Mars endings, which we've dissed, as long with this finale's ending, Pyramids of Mars, I'd give like a good 8.5. It's one that I watch quite late in like my classic Who life. I've still got plenty more classics to watch, so people can kill me for not watching stuff like Seeds of Doom. So many Tom Bakers like I've not watched, and people will be like, "How did you not watch it?" Randomly, Creature from the Pit comes to head. I don't know if that's meant to be like one of the greatest, but Seeds of Doom I've not watched.
Seeds of Doom, is that the 4th Doctor or the 2nd Doctor era?
Seeds of Death is the Ice Warrior 2nd Doctor one. That I love. Seeds of Death. Seeds of Doom is the Tom Baker end of season 13, same season as Pyramids of Mars.
Oh, both of those stories are excellent. If you like the Troughton one, the Ice Warrior one, then the 1st Doctor one. Was it 1st Doctor?
No, what Seeds of Death is 2nd.
Yeah, it was a Troughton one. Yeah, if you love that one, you'll love Seeds of Doom.
And various other ones, but I can't think of them off the top of my head. 8.5. People worship it as like one of the best of all time. For me, it's not that status like Pyramids of Mars, definitely not Empire Death. Far from a classic. Pyramids of Mars isn't like elite god tier goated for me, but it's still a very good time that if we were around in 1975-6, whenever it was broadcast, like I imagine it feeling and affecting things on a different level at that time. But 8.5 for me at the minute.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of people hail this as one of their favorite serials. So yeah,
like elite.
Like you say, like was it just done to get the classic viewers back in? What did you make of the redesign, Will? I wish that he'd had an actual physical form.
Human form, yeah, or human.
I feel like he was going to kill off the Vlinks and then sort of like take over the body or something.
Yeah, I think a large part of why I haven't mentioned it, I mentioned it in a tweet, but I feel like the cliffhanger of the first part was like really anticlimactic because I think the actual mask wasn't very good, whereas in the second part we actually got more of like, I think they really dimmed down the lights in part 1, so you didn't really get to see it. But I just thought the facial, like just the prosthetics of it was excellent, so I can go without like a human form. And again, you know that premonition that Sarah Jane gets in Pyramids of Mars of like the dog-like thing in the TARDIS, I thought that was like really well presented as well with CGI. So I can't really complain about all of that, I'm not gonna lie. And I think for a CGI attempt, it actually looked good.
Yeah, I think it would have been nice to have him sort of have an actual physical thing as well to interact with, maybe. But it does look good. Like you can tell that's where the budget is. What else did Michael say to you? What did you think of the appearance of the memory TARDIS? Did you also watch the Tales of the TARDIS on Pyramids of Mars before broadcast or not?
See it now. Hello. Oh, we're now live again. / later on in the video when this all gets edited together. Nothing's happened at all. This is definitely the same point of time.
It's taken so long that I've done a Peter Capaldi in Flatline and I've got a haircut inside the TARDIS.
And I have lost my sense of face, and now I've been possessed by Sue Pet.
Can't be Sue Pet. Everyone does.
Yeah, everybody does, love. Everybody does. So due to life and time difficulties and awkward planning, we've had to do this a little bit later. Anyway, wherever we're at the recording, yeah, tomorrow could be like 5 weeks, but who knows at this point. So yeah, we were just wrapping up anyway, talking about our scores. As you can tell by the energy of this video, it's been it's been passionate to say the least, and I'm kind of glad to get it out of my system. So as far as the 2-parter goes, I was kind of going to give it maybe, if Empire Death hadn't fucking sucked, I would have given it like a good 8 out of 10 overall. But if I'm talking about individual episodes, I think Legend of Ruby Sunday was pretty legendary for the most part. I was very much engrossed in it, having not seen it prior to the cinema broadcast. I was very engrossed in it, so I would have given Legends of Ruby Sunday a good 9 out of 10. And then Empire Death, like a 4. Let's just say a 4. But because of the whole complete package as a story, I think I'm going to have to round it up in a way to about a 5. There are some good moments in the latter half, but the explanations and continuity is just completely fucked. We thought Timeless Children was bad. Well, I think Sutek chilling on the TARDIS just offends me even more than the Doctor having more than 13 lives, in my opinion. Like, I'm too disgusted to even admit I'm human anymore. I'm now a part of the, Toy Makers Legion of God people. I'm disgusted to be
Legion
human.
of God people.
Yeah, I'm disgusted to be human. That's how the show's left me at the minute. I'd rather be an immortal being.
I don't remember where we cut off last time, so that's
Exactly.
we was literally about to do our scores. So very well put, Connor. I agree with you on literally everything. I'm quite jealous that was the first of you, because that was the first time you got to watch Legend, and that was quite a good way to experience that first episode.
It was kind of legendary. To live up to the name, it was kind of legendary.
I think
But
that it was like part 1 was like 90% setup, and it was just not enough on the land. Like, I know, because I feel like we were going to do this as 2 parts, but like we couldn't really spoil one without the other, so we've talked about it as a whole, and we've all 3 of us, when before we sent Will into the time vortex to bring death to death,
before we do Sutek, yeah.
he we were all kind of sort of like, it was just a great start, and then it's just such a shame, because I'd say probably Legend of Ruby Sunday I'd have given a 7-2. I think it wasn't the best. It wasn't up there with the best of this season, but it was pretty strong. It was a brilliant part 1, and it all depended on if it stuck the landing. And for us, we obviously can't speak for the majority of people and Doctor Who fans in the world, but it didn't stick the landing. So for that, I think I'd give Empire of Death like a 4.
Yeah.
So
4.
7 and a 4. That's a 11 out of 20, which is like a 5.5 on average. If you average out
Scored higher than me.
So yeah, it's a real shame, because I literally was like, yeah, this season so much fun, like we were saying, like build and build and build. I think I would have liked, maybe not like this big overarching mystery. Maybe if they'd have done this kind of story arc in season 2, maybe we like, not so much us, but like the more general audience as well would have been a bit more sort of settled in, and we all would have maybe sort of like, oh, we've had 2 years to kind of ponder this mystery and have this payoff, instead of here's all of this in 7 weeks because we dropped 2 episodes at once.
Yeah.
But overall, for the series, I should do Will's score before because he might join us, he might not. It's been awkward because of like situation of where he is. That's what cut us off last time. He then has not answered yet. I've asked him, but he did send his scores. So he would have given 5 out of 10 for Empire of Death. No, for Legend of Ruby Sunday, sorry, and a 2 out of 10 for Empire of Death, meaning the average was 3.5 for the story as a whole. Compared to other finales, what would you say it's near? What would you say it's better than, worse than?
I don't feel like it's near anything. Like, if we're just talking strictly RTD, like out of the 5 finales, not counting End of Time, like I feel like this is the weakest, just purely the weakest. Regardless of if you put scores into it, I just feel like this is, even when time goes on and the power of hindsight might affect things, I feel like not much will change when we talk about this in 5 years' time or a couple of years' time or seasons' time. It doesn't feel like it's one of those stories. We've been there, done that, and I don't see how the perception of this, story will ever be perceived as a classic in years to come. It's just there and done, and it's a painful memory because it's still quite fresh. But then if you're talking about like New Who, because this is technically the second reboot, so it's New Who. If you talk about every like modern series finale, like New Who finale, then
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other ones that were a bit anticlimactic off the top of my head.
Did you
Not
say Wedding River
the.
Song was?
I was thinking not again Heaven Sent Hell Bent, but even Hell Bent as an episode weren't for me because I wasn't watching the show at the time. I only caught up because of you, really. Hellbent didn't really give me the oohs and sensations that I was looking for at the time, but I'm sort of due a rewatch on that anyway. Again, if you're arguing Heaven Sent is obviously the much better episode. It's kind of similar to that. Heaven Sent, amazing episode, much better than Legend of Ruby Sunday as well. But clearly, part one, amazing. Part two, some people left offended, some people didn't. I'm not. I'm on the more neutral ground. But when I think of New Who finales, like every other one, like Dark Water, Death in Heaven. Again, I'm talking about the eras that I didn't watch at the time, but Dark Water, Death in Heaven, Series 10's, World of Nothing Time and Doctor Falls, like that's high up if you're talking finales. Again, you know what? Actually, I've totally forgotten the Battle of not Raxacol of Vabatorius, but
Battle of Ransgraf.
Kalos, cousin of Telos. No, that was fucking disgusting. Maybe this is slightly better than Asgore Kalos because I kind of forgot about that one.
Yeah,
Maybe.
but technically, Resolution
much
is the culmination of that season and that story, really, isn't it? But yeah, I'd say I enjoyed it more than how I don't know. Probably it's a similar disappointment to how Flux was wrapped up.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's pretty low.
I dig the Timeless Children and that in a way. Like I think that and essentially the Sidemen, like that's like Villa Diodati, Ascension, and then Timeless Children. It's not completely, it depends on how fucking gatekeeper you are on this, made up television show. Rand's score is obviously not really much of a finale. It's more Resolution for me that acts as the kind of closing of like that thing, more of the resolution. Hey, if I was putting it against Resolution, it's not as good as that, but I would say it's better than Ransgrav Coloss for me because that just feels like a middle episode. I think World Enough and Time Doctor Falls is one of the best. It's pretty I'd say this one's like mid to just below mid, sort of. I think it's maybe RTD's weakest finale. I'd say his strongest one being Parting of the Ways. Still after all this time. I don't know. There's arguments that it's a similar sort of impact to like his series 3s, his series 4s in terms of like big blockbuster climaxes. So I'd say up there with that maybe it was a bit like Stolen Earth Journey's End, which is like great on the night rewatch. Is it going to hold up? We might hold it in a bit more high regard because we got to see it in such a a grandiose circumstance. So overall,
maybe.
Sorry, man. Your overall thoughts of the season, if you had to give a definitive. Well, we won't do the list of all the episodes in order. Your favorite episode and your least favorite episode.
Favorite episode. I mean, it has to be Boom. It just Boom. We've sort of said it week on week, but Boom clearly. Moffat's got the magic. He ain't his hero, but when Moffat isn't showrunning the show, and he still, again, it's been since 2005. He's obviously written for the show, and clearly after having a gap after the end of his era, like he clearly hasn't lost his charm, and obviously he wrote the best episode of the season. And then I'd say least favorite episode. I mean, if it isn't Empire of Death, no, I don't know. Maybe I should say Space Babies. No, I think it has to be Empire of Death. Is Space Babies better slightly? When I say slightly, like 0.5% better than Empire of Death, I don't know. Like it's those two. It's bookended by like page 1 and then page 100 if it's a 100-page book. Like it's bookended. Everything in the middle, the filler, arguably, is the best stuff of the season. But it's just how, I don't know if I said it earlier in the video or not, but how is it possible that this season, which we've been praising, has literally been bookended by like the 2 weakest episodes? It's just baffling. It's crazy.
Yeah, like we said before, like 2 shit bits of bread, some great fillings.
Yeah.
I would say my favorite episode. I could easily say Boom because it probably is, but in order to be a bit different from you, So I will also give the shout out to. Oh, it's hard because there's a nice little run there for how bonkers it was, and how different it was, and it upset a lot of people. I'll say 73 yards, but boom,
Yeah,
73 yards dot and bubble, like
respectful.
they are all enjoyable. I would watch, I would watch all these episodes again because obviously at some point we will binge watch this season, hopefully for a roundtable
Absolutely.
event that we're trying to sort out the dates for everyone to be in the same space. But
Maybe I
yeah,
can go
like
back to being human.
yeah, I would. And there's like a couple in here that I would watch just out of sequence if it was like I wanted to watch an episode. I think I would, I would say Devil's Called. I could Rogue. I could In Isolation.
Dot and
Boom,
bubble.
definitely. But Boom's quite, well, Boom and Dot and Bubble quite fucking dark. Or Boom, 73 yards and Dot and Bubble quite dark to just, I want to watch an episode of my favorite TV program. Maybe that's not the ones you
Yeah.
automatically reach for, but no, definitely the strongest stuff came from the non-showrunner episodes. More of that, hopefully, for season 2, Russell. I'll say Space Baby's least favorite just because it was a bit of a fart to begin the series on. It felt like a sort of Sarah Jane-esque episode, which is a bit of an insult to Sarah Jane Adventures, but it felt like it was just back to basics, very dumbed down for the audience, which Doctor Who should never be. It should be tall and proud and know what it is. It's a kids show that it's can be clever, but it doesn't have to be, sort of thing. But yeah, probably like you say, Empire and Space Baby is definitely the weaker quality in this season. What we're looking forward to, obviously, the most immediate thing, or even though it's not immediate because it's just like under 6 months away, the Christmas special Joy to the World, written by Stephen Moffat. That's something for us to look forward to. A Christmas special. I'd be happy for the 2025 Christmas special to then be written by Chris Chibnall. Like, I'd really like that.
I think know.
Because we know that Chris did turn down the opportunity to write for this season. I don't know if he then approached him again for season 2, but I would like to hear Chris's voice again in this. Just because I think it'd be nice for all of them to be in the same space again, not just to just relive the glory days of when they all wrote Doctor Who at the same time. It's like, no, because I want to see what the other former showrunner has to say. Because if you're going to do one, I feel like we've got to try and get the other to
all of them.
at least write an episode. We've got a new companion to look forward to. Sorry, mate. What did you say?
No, I was gonna say like they're like the real life directorial Avengers. We gotta get them back. We gotta get the squad back. Or are you gonna say like anything in particular I'm looking forward to aside from Christmas? I mean, without looking ahead, with very little details we know currently, any episode that's written by Moffat next year. But like we said earlier in the video as well, and over the last couple of episodes, more guest writers as well. I'm looking forward to hopefully hear more news of new voices coming into the mix and not just no offense Russell, but written by Russell T Davies. I'd like to see in the title sequences written by writer here, writer here, writer there. Like this season, we've gone over it in this episode again, but episode 6, Kate Herron and the other name escapes me. I don't want co-written episodes. Like I kind of want the guests to kind of just do their own episodes, individual justice, and share their voice.
Yep.
Kind of like how I guess without repeating myself, but more guest writers. I'm looking forward to that.
Let me see if I can get a list up for the Doctor Who season
Cool.
writers.
What number? If ignoring reboots, and what number season is this? Ignoring reboots, if the classic numbering continued, like where would this be? What number is this, or will it be?
Where would this be? Hang on. It would be.
It's 39 of New Who, so what would it be? 41.
It would be next season. So this season will be a season 40.
Bloody hell! Bloody hell!
There is Davis was writing the 2024 Christmas special by 2022, and the 15th season by June 23. By October 23, 5 of the 9 scripts have been completed. In May 24, former showrunner head writer confirmed that he had written the 24 Christmas special instead, entitled "Joy to the World." The episodes of the series itself were written by Davis and 4 other writers. I know that the list exists somewhere, but at the moment all it's listing is Block 1, Joy to the World, Stephen Moffat, and then you've got Block 2 is episode 4 and 1, Block 3 is episode 2 and 3, and then TBA. So there's still episodes 5, 7, and 8 are just so far undiagnosed in the production block, even though we know that that's done because they filmed them both pretty close together. Then there's a bit of a break, but there still will be the same gap between each series if and when a season 3 is expected to be officially confirmed. I would like Russell to write the first episode and the last, and that's it. Because he's doing the more showrunnery thing of like, planning it out, where's it going, sort of thing. Much like how he was doing, but yet still writing a lot between seasons 1 to 4, and specials less so planned out to give him a break.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you know that Moffat went to Russell when Russell spoke about leaving and said, "If I write more episodes, so you can write less. Like, does that make it easier for you to stay?" And it was, but like Russell had already made up his mind to leave, so maybe you get Russell sort of in the writers' room with the guest writers, like, this is where I want to go this season. I'll write the start point, and I want you to get me to here so I can end it, kind of thing, as opposed to him writing most of the season. Because you compare this to his first series 1 to season 1, and there's such a vast contrast. I know episode, count and stuff like that. There was a bit more room to breathe. Obviously, this season looked better in terms of budget and stuff, but we had a lot more sort of like rush into points. It didn't feel as, natural progression, shall we say. I'm looking forward to season 2. I hope and pray that whatever fucking state Ruby is involved in this series has not been last minute, because it's very Clara vibes of I'm leaving, and then she stopped leaving every series. She changed her mind. I'm gonna leave after series 8. No, I'm not. I'll leave after Last Christmas. No, I'm not. Okay, I'll leave after series 9. Because on the Unleashed, it seemed like everyone was kind of saying goodbye to Ruby Sunday as a character, but he was like, no, she's back, and we've seen her in a clip. We know that that Millie and Verda will both be traveling with Shooty. In what capacity will it be? Both of them there the whole time. Part-time companions. We don't know, but it'd be nice to have a new companion. See where that goes. See what Verda can do. She's
early.
Sorry, mate.
Sorry, not to cut you off. Early prediction. Millie is going to be. I know episode 1 and 2 are probably not going to be a 2-part pilot opener, but imagine if the opening of the season was a 2-parter after Christmas. Christmas could be whatever. Because is Millie meant to be in the Christmas special, or is it just shooting this one, or is that still
one of the people from Derry Girls is the Christmas companion, so to speak. I forget her name because I'm not a massive fan of it, but I know she's quite good and quite looking forward to it. And Stephen Moffat said she will break our hearts, so see how that one goes. Maybe I'm going to call it her character name is probably Joy.
Yeah, because then she's going to break her heart and be like, "No, I am." Maybe she's Malice and Despair. Maybe she's another one of the Pantheon. Who knows? That was what. Anyone could be Omega at this point. Maybe Chibnall should come back and write Omega. Maybe he can then arguably write the wrongs of his era and come back and do Omega justice. That wasn't where I was going with it at all, but I was going to say, what if season 2, season 15, whatever numbering it is, episode 1 and 2 is a 2-parter. Again, going by the information probably isn't going to be at all, so this is very not likely to happen. But instead of the finale being 2-parter, we get the beginning of the season, episode 1 and 2, bang, one big story. Millie and the new companion have come together, and then for whatever reason, despite Millie staying, not staying, she's leaving, not leaving, she actually gets killed. and she don't make it to next Monday. She gets killed off in the.
Nicola Colon, I don't know if I'm saying her name right, is in the Christmas special. Peter Hoare, who directed that's HOAR, like Boar, who previously
Yeah.
Good Man Goes to War, will be directing episodes 1 and 4.
Oh wow! Okay.
Alex Pillay or Pillay, again, sorry if I'm butchering your name, is directing the Christmas special. Amanda Brochi is directing 2 and 3. Ben A. Williams directing episode 6. McCalla McPherson is directing TBA. So we shall see on that when we get more info. I know there's probably more info out there, and because I have seen some more in-depth stuff, should I say, in terms of apparently episode 4 will have a lasting impact on that season's finale.
Okay.
We will see how that goes. More Shooty Gatwa is the main thing.
Cool.
Because Shooty has been, I know moaning about him crying, people in the internet, but I've enjoyed it and I want more. I really hope that he evolves and keeps chiseling away at that performance and just building on it, because it's a bit like our Tennant sort of changed every season and then kind of just got to a point where he was just like then the caricature of what his doctor was. Like I'm mannerisms and things, and I don't really.
In a way, he peaks too soon.
I'm so sorry.
We don't want Shooty to ever peak.
Nah, I want Shooty to break the 3-season rule, not by doing 2 seasons. All right, I want 4 seasons.
No, that doesn't add up. No, that doesn't add up. Shooty says he's going to be here for a long time. He's not going anywhere, like he says in the episode. But I get that energy from him in real life. So fingers blimmin' crossed and toes that he stay for more than 3, please. Shooty.
Yes. Just quickly as we end, have you seen the artwork for the season 1 release?
I did. Yes, it's Shooty and Millie's faces in like a rainbow vortex. It does look quite nice.
Standard one?
I've not seen the standard one, no, but I've only seen Steelbook. Okay, yeah, I prefer that. 1, 2, 3, 7 discs.
With the Unleashed on them and stuff like that. So
nice.
Obviously, one of the best in the Whovian community in terms of Matthew Purchase is always bang on it with the physical media releases and stuff like that. The Steelbook does look amazing, and as a Steelbook core, obviously, I already pre-ordered it months ago. So that's looking good. This is the inside of the Steelbook. I don't know if you've seen that.
I've not seen the inside of the Steelbook, but is that meant to be like Devil's Cord? Is that the episode 2?
Yeah, that's them with the umbrellas at the end of Ruby Road. Not Ruby Road, sorry, Devil's Cord, like you said. Breakdown of the features. There is one somewhere, but I can't find it. So, what did everyone think of season 1? We will hopefully be getting some, if not all, of our guests for season 1. Hopefully, maybe it'll be a mini tradition in a couple of weeks, maybe a month's time, so we can all binge the whole season as one and talk about this again, and then we can sort of just put it to one side for a little bit and then come back at Christmas and get back to normal episodes. What's that going to be like, Connor? That's what scares me most, because I've only seen
normal. Normal is a very frightening word. Yeah.
But in the meantime,
we've both got.
Sorry, mate, go on.
No, I was going to say, it's fine. We've both got unlimited cards. We can both fight for what film we're going to talk about, whatever weeks is fine. Or if we somehow sync it up and we're like, oh, I've seen this film, then brilliant. That'll be the new normal, fingers crossed. And more of us, like cameras and people and footage. Footage, that's the important thing. But yeah, guys, you know where to find us. Maybe not Sue Pet, unfortunately. Maybe she comes back next year, who knows. But nerdbiblecontact@gmail.com for any emails and thoughts. Maybe any grooming tips for George and his hair. I just saw him admire himself in the camera. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Not getting silly, but eventually Twitch. That'll be the next chapter in our arc when we eventually get the streaming set up. And and our camera will be all over that streaming goodness. TikTok reactions to stuff, unboxings, all that good stuff. More Doctor Who reactions, more Doctor Who news. Oh my god, we heard that so and so's happening. Let's make a quick buzz video about it. Let's get viral. Short and sweet, as they say. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for watching Doctor Who. I mean, we on the BBC clearly work for the BBC, but thank you all for watching Doctor Who. Don't know where I'm going at now. I'm static.
Yeah, leave your thoughts on season 1 below. Like Connor said, please get in contact with us. We will hopefully have Will back for season 2 in some capacity. I have asked him. He is typing. Of course, my friend. Lovely. So Will be back. Also, all of our guests, hopefully, for season 1 will be back. And we'll hopefully add a couple more. So maybe if we can get, the 9-episode run of Christmas through 8 episodes, let's aim for 9 guests. I know that I am due to ask, contributor and co-host of Silver Screen Podcast, DK, because I completely forgot about asking him until Mike brought it up. I was like, yeah, of course. I don't know why I've not asked him yet. So hopefully he'll come on it. So then, maybe we get a couple more newbies. I mean, Chris Johnson, you and Guy Lambert, let's reunite on the internet.
In one episode.
Let's see.
In one episode.
Let's see how many we can get. Until next time, guys, we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Allons-y. Stay pasty.
Why is Kate Stewart fucking that general from Unit now, though?
I don't know. He's been working out.
Is it Colonel Ibrahim?
Yeah. Colonel Ibrahim. Yeah, because he's like, you've been working out. Yeah. That's the line.
Did you make this tea? Yes, I did. Don't make the tea.
No.
That was fun.
Drink coffee.
That was fun. Who are you? I'm Ruby Skywalker. Goodbye.
Somehow Sutek returned.
That should have been in it. If it was such a Star Wars referential thing, that should have been in it.
I know. That's how it felt like. Somehow Sutek returned.